Hey there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM323 Extra Practice number 3 solutions on factoring trinomials. This one has a puzzle that goes with it. Let's take a look at that. So here's our puzzle. We are trying to solve this riddle. They're saying there's a drastic way to diet. An extreme but effective way to diet is hidden in the letters below. So to do this, we need to factor each set of trinomials. And whenever we do that, we have to figure out what letter has the answer that goes with that, and then cross off that letter. So we're basically crossing off letters, and whatever's left is going to reveal the answer. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started on this one. Okay, so here's problem number 1 on our way to figuring out what we could call the algebra diet, whatever that means. So these problems are all problems where we have a squared coefficient of 1, like we have just 1 m squared here. So for all of these, we're going to be using the technique of figuring out two numbers that multiply to the constant, 7 in this case, but also add up to that middle coefficient, 8. And then whatever those numbers are, we can just put those in parentheses with whatever the variable is. So things that multiply to 7 and add up to 8, factors of 7 that add up to 8. So that would be 1 and 7, both positive. So we can write m plus 1 and m plus 7. Looking down below to see those answer choices, it looks like we've got that right here under the s, so we'll cross s off and move on to the second question. For the second problem, we're looking for factors of 6 that add up to 5. So let me see, we got 1 and 6, 2 and 3. 2 and 3 meets both conditions, so we'll have m plus 2 and m plus 3. And it looks like we've got both of those right here under the t, so cross off the t. For this next one, we are looking for factors of 9 that add up to 10. Well, that's just going to be 1 and 9, because 1 plus 9 is 10. So we've got m plus 1, m plus 9, and those are both going to be right here under e, so cross off the e. On number 4, we're looking for factors of 8 that add up to negative 6. Now, since we're multiplying to a positive, they have the same sign, and they have to both be negative because we're adding up to a negative. So let me see. We've got 1 and 8, 2 and 4 are really our only options. Negative 2 and negative 4 would add up to negative 6. So we'll do m minus 2, m minus 4, and it looks like we've got that in the very first letter here, g, so bye-bye g. For this one, we want factors of 12 that add up to negative 8. And again, since we're multiplying to a positive and adding up to a negative, that means the signs must both be negative. So we got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Negative 2 and negative 6 would give us negative 8. So we'll do m minus 2 and m minus 6. And that's right here, so cross off the a. On this one, we're looking for factors of 24 that add up to 11. And they're both going to be positive because we're multiplying and adding to a positive. So let me think. 1 and 24, nope. 2 and 12 doesn't add up to 11. 3 and 8 adds up to 11. So we've got m plus 3 and m plus 8. And that is over here under the O, so cross off that O. So we're on to number 7 now. This is the first of a new set of problems. You'll notice the answer choices down here have changed. Now everything has a D instead of an M. Still the same kind of problem though. So this one we're looking for factors of positive 15 that add up to negative 8. Multiplies to a positive, adds up to a negative. That means they're both going to be negative. Our only options are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Negative 3 and negative 5 will do the job for adding up to negative 8. So we'll have d minus 3 and d minus 5. And that's going to be right here. d minus 5, d minus 3. Doesn't matter what order, so we can cross off the L. For this one, we want factors of 20 that add up to negative 12. So they're both going to be positive, well, they multiply to a positive, so they're actually both going to be negative because they add up to a negative. So we've got 1 and 20, 2 and 10. Let's see, negative 2, negative 10 would add up to negative 12. So d minus 2 and d minus 10. And that is right here under the E, so cross that one off. For this one, I want numbers that multiply to 13 and add up to 14, well, there's not a whole lot of options. 1 and 13, and that's really it. So d plus 1, d plus 13. So that's going to be right here. That's our very first one, f going away. For this one, we're looking for factors of 36 that add up to negative 13. And since we multiply to a positive and add up to a negative, we know they're both going to be negative. So let me think. 36 has a lot of factors. We have 1 and 36. That doesn't work. 2 and 18 won't add up to 13. 3 and 12, that's closer. That adds up to 15. 4 and 9, that adds up to 13. So if I do negative 4, negative 9, d minus 4, d minus 9, that'll give me what I need. And that is going to be right over here, second to last option, A going away. Now I want factors of 30 that add up to 17 to deal with number 11 here. Both going to be positive because they multiply and add up to a positive. So we've got 1 and 30 doesn't work. 3 and 10 does not work. Let me think. What else do we have? 2 and 15. I forgot about 2, right? 2 and 15 adds up to 17. So we've got d plus 2, d plus 15. And that's going to be our third option, u. Bye-bye to u. And now we come to the last problem in this set of 6 that we're dealing with. Now we want factors of 18 that that add up to 9, not multiply to 9. So for 18, I can get that by doing 1 and 18, 2 times 9, 3 and 6. 3 plus 6 would give us 9. So d plus 3, d plus 6. And that's the very last option. So T is the last letter we'll be crossing off for this set of letters here. So now we come to the final 6 questions, and you'll notice that all of these look a little bit crazy. All the answer choices have X's and Y's in them, as do the questions. But interestingly enough, our approach is actually going to be exactly the same. The first squared term here, at least, has a coefficient of 1. So we can still use the type of reasoning where we're asking for factors of the last number that add up to this middle number. So in this case, we want factors of 4 that add up to 5. And that would just be 1 and 4. Now, when we actually put this in parentheses, though, we can't just write x plus 1, x plus 4, because the numbers that are going in there also have to have some y's attached to them. So in this case, we'll have x plus 1y, or just y, and then x plus 4y. And if you're not sure that this actually works, we can multiply it out. So we have firsts gives us x squared, outers is 4xy, inners is xy, so that's a total of 5xy if you combine those two in the middle. And then y times 4y gives us the 4y squared. So really it is just the same reasoning, just put a y on whatever numbers you put in the parentheses with x. Oh, we have to actually find the answer down here. So let's see, we need x plus y, x plus 4y, and it looks like that's going to be right here somewhere in the middle, so cross off the G. For this one, I want factors of 32 that add up to negative 18. Multiply to a positive, add up to a negative. That means they're both negative. So 32, I can get that with 1 and 32, but that doesn't give me 18. Let's see here. 2 and 16 adds up to 18. So if I do x minus 2y and x minus 16y, that'll get me what I need. Let's see, we've got that as actually our very first option here, so cross off the O. Moving on to this 15th problem here, now I need factors of 40 that add up to negative 13. Well, they're both going to be negative because they multiply to a positive and add to a negative. So I've got 1 and 40 is not going to work, 2 and 20 doesn't add up to 13. We've got 4 and 10, that adds up to 14. That's pretty close, but still not quite what we need. 5 and 8 adds up to 13. So I can do x minus 5y and x minus 8y. And that's going to be, let's see here, this one right here under n, so cross that off. For this problem, I want factors of 12 that add up to 7. So let's see here, we've got 1 and 12, nope, 2 and 6, close but no cigar, 3 and 4. if I have x plus 3y and x plus 4y, that'll add up to the 7 that I need in the middle. So that's going to be, let's see here, nope, not there. Here it is, right in the middle, this I right here. Bye-bye I. On this problem, I need factors of 26 that add up to negative 27. It's kind of an interesting mix there. So I know they're both going to be negative since I'm multiplying to a positive and adding to a negative. Let me start with 1 and 26. Well, that actually does add up to 27. Very rarely is the first one you try going to work, but this time it did. So I need actually negative 1 and negative 26. So I'll have x minus 1y and then x minus 26y. And I feel like I should be able to spot a 26 pretty easily down here in the answer choices. Yep, the last one here, t, let's cross the t. And now we come to the very last problem. We need factors of 60 that add up to 19, and they're both going to be positive. So 1 and 60, that doesn't work. 2 and 30, still not working. 3 and 20 is getting closer, but not what we need. Let's see, 4 and 15, yeah, that adds up to 19. So we have x plus 4y, x plus 15y. And that is right here, second option, R. Cross that off. All right, we've crossed off everything we could. Now it's time to go back through and see what this puzzle actually has for an answer. All right, so let's get the letters that we've got going on here. And remember, we're looking for a drastic way to diet. So that's the clue here. So we have a B, a U, and a Y. So I'm thinking that that's the word by. Pretty sure I can't really make anything else with that. Moving on then to the next letter that we didn't cross off, we have an N, we have an O, and maybe that's the word no. I don't see anything else that could be a word attached to that. So then our next word would start with this M right here. We have an E, an A, and an L. Ah, a drastic way to diet. Buy no meal. Yeah, I guess that would do it. And it's the algebra diet, right? Because binomial is basically what you've been multiplying together the whole time. So that's actually pretty clever. It all ties together very well. Till next time, this is Mr. Sutton signing off.